Hello and welcome to Flory Models Friday Roundup Show. Here we are with you on the 30th of July 2021. Obviously another month gone. Where does the time go? Anyway, this week's been a really busy week, and so we thought we'd kick off with on Monday. As you can see, we did part 3 of the Ural truck. So we're doing the 4320. Part 3, as you can see, was down in here, and really we were looking at doing the rear bed, finishing that off, really getting the mud guards and the various things all set in there, the light clusters and all of those, again going together really nicely. And then obviously we're working on the actual cab, putting obviously the details in there. There's a couple of ejector pins that need whipping out there, side steps going on, things like that. Then it was over to the spray paint. So big fan of LP5 paint. Again, I always say never use black or white. I always use off shades of. So with blacks and that, definitely I like rubber blacks, and then with whites I usually put a little bit of buff into it. But weirdly, this is probably the only exception to the rule. So I like to use LP5 because it has got that genuinely heavy black colour that you find on vehicle chassis. First came across this when I did the big Kenworth truck. And this particular paint was beautiful for doing all the lower chassis work and things like that. So I've used it again, obviously on the Ural truck, doing it that way because it's that same type of effect down in there. And again, it came out really very nicely. And we sprayed the underside. Again, this rear deck, as I've explained in, which will be on Monday's video, is that we're going to change all that anyway. Probably going to paint it green. It's just I got a little bit carried away on there. But anyway, that was coming together really nicely, just like that. So you can see, or members, you can see the actual video build of that is up with you straight away. Tuesday was an interesting show. So I've sort of gone back to Tool Tuesday, doing the bite-sized videos and things like that. So down in here, we actually were me doing a vloggy bit, as you can see, and I was explaining literally because we were doing editing and various things down in there. I was explaining some of that, and then what we did was we changed over the needle and nozzle set that I've had in my Procon airbrush for the last 4 years. And the reason for doing it was simple, is that it didn't feel like it needed changing. It's nothing. I didn't have like a bad spray pattern. I wasn't suffering with, any problems with the airbrush at all. But I thought really after 4 years, it probably would need one. So I just wondered what that scenario would be. So what we actually ended up doing in here, if we just go through, we took off the needle and nozzle, and obviously you got a comparison here between the HS nozzle and then obviously the one from Procon, which are tiny, which are basically the same as the Iwata ones. Okay, and obviously we were just looking at how you go about changing your needle and nozzle, and then obviously we did come up with a few little problems when we were changing it. I think along in here we will see it. There we go, we're getting bubbles in the colour cut, which I know is quite a common thing a lot of people get. So I was explaining how to fix that, and we did fix it. But the big thing was that when we went through on this one and we did the next load of patterns side by side, you can probably see there's no difference between both sets. They both still work fantastically well, and that's really odd because I've never known an airbrush to maintain its use from new to 4 years old. Normally airbrushes, the nozzle wears out a little bit and you go from being like a 0.2 nozzle to something like a 0.4 or a 0.6 over time. Just wear and tear wears out the alloy and makes it a bigger hole at the end of the day. More paint if it comes out. So that's really what I was explaining in this video and talking about it. But amazing thing was, it hasn't. It's exactly like the day we did it. And when we're talking about an airbrush, which is really like 120 quid, and it's outperforming, outlasting airbrushes that are 2 or 3 times that price, it was actually a really interesting find. I wasn't expecting this. I thought there would be a definite difference between the both, but clearly it wasn't. It worked like an absolute charm, as you can see. The only thing I will say, it's a bit like when you've taken your car in to go and have new brakes or clutch or something else like that fitted. It does feel different. So finding that bite point again and having to learn how your airbrush exactly works down to the finest detail does take a little bit. And I've been using it with a new needle nozzle set into it this week, and I'm back on par with it. But it is sort of that thing where it doesn't bite exactly where it used to. Although there's no difference in the pattern, it is a little bit different. So anyway, interesting show. You can go off and see that one down in there. Wednesday was the PM show. So obviously it's me, Andy and Matt. We were down there talking about all things PM store, everything that's coming in. And to be honest with you, right after we recorded that show, we did it quite early in the morning, all the deliveries came in. So as you can see, the Phantoms came in that we were talking about on the show. So obviously the pre-order ones for all the members, they've all been sent out now at your discount price, and all the other bits as well as you might realise, we had quite a lot of Hasegawa and various things in. So I'll show you again at the end, but we've had all this lot racked up literally at the same time. So again, if you are after some of the Hasegawa bits and pieces, they are down in there. But anyway, talking all things kit, what's out, what's available, what's coming soon, all the usual bits and pieces. If you're just into perhaps your kits and buying and stuff like that, that's definitely the show for you. Last night, and don't ask me why it's Andy, but I gave me 3 options for thumbnail, and the camera loves Andy because it's all of him. So here he is looking very, very happy with himself. And we had a great discussion last night really about what is an interesting subject, is aftermarket. Is it worth it? Is it necessary these days? So we spent really about just over an hour discussing the pros and cons to aftermarket. You know, so obviously the pros are it gives a lot more detail to your model. The cons are obviously it makes what could be a straightforward kit build into a mega project. You know, I call them my big summer builds where we've thrown everything at it. And I did some, you know, simple little show and tell, if you like. Some of the kits I've done and thrown everything at it cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds with all the aftermarket, and it really wasn't worth it, and you can't see it. And we were discussing things like that, and other kits were older stuff, and I was discussing the A10 that I did, the Trumpy 132nd one, and obviously we used a lot of aftermarket on that as well. We bought electronics bays, we got the battery bay, we've got the gun, obviously we've got the cockpit, they're all aftermarket bits in there, and we've got sort of photo etching resin all over it. But how it made what is, to be honest, a fair kit, I think I'm being fair by saying that, into something really, really nice and something extra special. So in some cases definitely worth doing aftermarket, in other cases it doesn't need it. And we were talking obviously about the new Tamiya. You know, normally the Phantom, perhaps you want to change the ejector seats because that's the only thing you can see. You can't see all the rest of it in there. It's buried too deep in the cockpit and things like that. But you guys were all involved with it as well in live chat, and it was a great discussion. I know some of you followed up as well with some of your thoughts as well on the bottom of the page on that particular day. Great to see that. Want to see a lot more of that. Keeps the conversation flowing, and obviously we will return to it. We will come back and talk about it some more. But what we're trying to do now on all the Thursday nights is do theme nights. So, you know, obviously last night we were talking about aftermarket ones. We've had some great suggestions from you guys, things like that. So keep them coming, and then we're going to be having theme nights right the way through, and then we'll do some questions and that and things like that when we got time afterwards. All right, so really that's how that one's working. Up with you today is the next part of the free to watch. So yes, it is free. Anybody can see this. It's not just a members video build. This is the Airfix, obviously Vulcan. Going through the motions of it down in here. So part 2 is available on here, or you can get it all over social media as well, right the way through. But basically part 2, we work on the actual bomb bay, which goes in, which actually this piece here gave me a little bit of a bit of a head scratcher for a few minutes until I got it to fit in. So we got that one going in. So it's got a gorgeous bomb bay, and again, it's got a very nice design for this wing spar system. So the great thing about this, and I've been talking about it for kits for years and years now, it would be nice if they had a lot more of this because it helps with the geometry of your wings. And it just makes everything a lot more solid inside the model. And again, this is no exception to it. So having like the box section down in here and these wing spars on here, everything fits in well. But also it's great because the intakes lock into these as well. So all your alignment is right from start to finish, you shouldn't have a problem. It's a bit like when things start to get a little bit out of shape, things can start not to line up later on in your builds, but that definitely helps solve that problem. So good job on them for that one. And then obviously we've got to do a little bit of extra work on this one because we're fitting ours with the blue steel missile. So it's got that recessed bay for it. So you do have to cut out a few of the parts. So I show all about that in the video. And obviously we got a bit of holes to drill out and things like that. And then here we are. This is the new blue steel bay being fitted in, which is a little bit bigger than the standard bomb bay. So that's fitting that in and getting that as seamless as we possibly can. And then we come back to the cockpit. So we get obviously the forward fuselage halves all together, and it goes through like that. And there was a comment about somebody was saying in the forum about, well, can't you just show it with the glasswork off, have it as a loose fit? The trouble is you still can't see anything in there at all. So that's what I'm saying. Aftermarket, really, you don't have to worry about this because trust me, even if you took the glasswork off, you still can't see any of it. So it's not really an issue on that one. But generally we get the bottom halves of the wings all together. We get in here, and to be honest, we got to do a little bit of work to tidy this up. It's not the best fit in the world, so it does need a little bit of fettling. There is a little bit of filler work needed in here, definitely when we rescribe all of this and we get it all neat and tidy and right the way through. So that's going together really, really well. As I said before, this is a free to watch video, so if you see it on social media, it's not a mistake. It's generally supposed to be out there as well, and every Friday I'll update you with the next part as we go through with that one. And as you can probably see, I'm literally pretty much ahead of you because we've just finished doing all the sanding, cleaning, filling, and there is some filler on this kit. It's not a perfect kit by a long way, so we have had to do a little bit of fettling down in here. We've done some filler work, which I will show you when we get to it next week on these wing sections. We've had to use a little bit of filler joining this front end in, and then to be honest with you, is just to get the actual intakes all to sort of just blend in nicely. There's quite a bit of filler in there. My headache so far though, and something is a head scratcher, so let me know if you've had the same problem building this kit, is that this tail doesn't seem to fit. So actually what you've got is 3 slots and then it's supposed to drop in no matter what I did. So I took the height out of the pegs coming down, so because I thought they were too long, okay, then I thinned them to think it didn't fit, and still I couldn't get it to go. So I ended up cutting them all off apart from a small tab at the back here on near the tail, and then I just fitted it down and glued it. And now it's absolutely seamless, but I couldn't get it to do it without doing a lot of mechanics on that. So it'd be interesting to see if you guys have had the same thing. Have you got a really bad fitting tail, or was I unlucky, or did I miss something completely? But for whatever reason, it really was a bit of a head scratcher there. I was like, why aren't you fitting? You should just go straight in. It didn't. So anyway, cutting those out, it's fitted and it's blended absolutely perfect. Apart from that, I have to say it is a great kit. It's very nice to work on. To be honest, it's a lot nicer to work on than the old one. So yes, we're in there. So intakes, still got to do a little bit of blending work just to make them seamless as well down in there. But really, next week we'll be into primer, and then obviously we'll be going into paint work. So this is going to be that standard colour scheme with a lighter one. To be honest, it's following the box art. I am actually doing that one with blue steel underneath, and then we'll be doing the camo on the top. So we'll be talking about doing all of that in later videos as it comes down. But thank you for all the feedback on that one. Thoroughly enjoying it, and it's going together nicely. And I think when we get into paint, we can talk about different ways. Obviously we're going to paint and weather it, obviously using masking systems and things like that as well for doing the camo and all of those to really bring it to life. But it's coming together very, very nicely down in there, as you can probably see. Reviews this week, we had 2 reviews. So to say, reviews wise, we had the Chinook up here and we had the Lancaster. So we started off with the Lancaster. That was a great kit, I must admit. Really, really nice on this one, and to be honest, took me by surprise. You do get a very nice, I think it's only A4, but you do get a very nice sheet down in here of paper of the box art, so you've got a little print, which was a nice touch to come with the kit. But basically we went right the way through, as you might imagine, usual review, going through everything. We went through all the bits and pieces, having a good look at it. The detail seems very nice. It's all recessed panel lines and all the stuff we've wanted from the Tamiya kit for years. And even on the inside here, one of the nice touches, there's no ejector pin marks. So very nicely done. But again, very much like the B17, these tabs along the top, as you can see them, you want to make sure that they are all cleaned up, and that way you'll get a perfect fit with the fuselage halves. Again, loads of detail on this one. And like I said in the review, we've been waiting almost 50 years for a new one. Can you believe that? 50 years since we've seen a 48 scale Lancaster. Tamiya is the only one that's done it in mainstream. So yeah, very, very nice. Good details on this one. I'm hoping it's going to go together just as nicely really as the B17. I can't see why it wouldn't, but again, nice touches. It's got proper instrument panel down in here with bezels and all the rest of it. Obviously the bigger brother doesn't. So that's nicely done. Again, the details with the radio equipment and all the stuff for the actual flight deck look pretty good. There is the odd ejector pin mark, but they're incredibly shallow. So this is the bomb bay on the inside of the bomb bay, and there is 4 ejector pins in there, but again, they're not much to write home about. And again, we've got the main gear coming down, looking pretty beefy and things like that. So that's all good. Clear parts are absolutely crystal clear. They are very, very nice. And again, they're a slight upgrade on the bigger 132nd version as well. So no problem with that one. Okay. So again, great video. You can go off and watch that one as well. Okay. And then we've got the Chinook one. So again, we haven't seen a Chinook for a while. I've sort of compared this in the actual video to the, obviously the Italeri one that I did. There's a free video build up on that one as well you can go off and watch, where I super detailed one. So we had loads of plumbing, loads of scratch build into it. We did all the refueling areas and everything into it. And then obviously all the plumbing around the back end on a slightly newer version. This is the A, so it's the Hobby Boss 1/48 scale A version of the CH47. As again, is it a mini-me of the 32nd version from Trumpeter? Not really, because it has got a different parts breakdown as it goes down in there. But you can see it is interesting because we're clearly going to see all the other versions. Hopefully we'll see them rather than later. But again, nice little bit of photo etch right the way through. The decals look pretty good. I lucked out and got 2 decal sheets in mine. And again, it's a modular forward fuselage. So again, we're expecting to have the different fuel cells on the side, the bigger ones for the later versions, things like that. So again, very nicely to see those as well. Quilted interior. Again, it's a little bit plain. There's not a lot going. There's no seats or anything, which is a shame. But generally, the surface detail is very, very nice on this. There is, as you can see in the photo, and I show it on the other one as well, a few sink marks on it, which are a little bit there. But again, they're nothing special. You could easily just put them down to stressed skin and get away with them. Odd little ejector pin marks, as you can see, but generally really nice. We've got a bit of sag already moulded into the actual blades as well, so that's quite a nice touch. And again, generally the roof lining's a little bit plain, but there's no seats in the back cabin, but I'm sure you could liven that up a little bit. But there's some nice little touches. So we've got the bar going off, so you don't have to worry about centre seam in the fuselage and things like that. And again, the tail, full detailed engine as well, so you get a full size engine with this. And again, these are the engine parts all to go on up here, so if you did want to have it open, it would be a great kit to do that. Clear parts are beautiful. They are uber clear, as you can see as well. So anyway, that's your Chinook build review, so you can go off and have a look at that one. And if you want to, click over to the free videos bits on there from the vault, and you can actually see the video build that I did of the old Italeri one, which there was then reboxed by Revell many years later as well. So that one's on there. But again, great kits, nice to see them. Definitely been waiting for the Lancaster for eons, and it's finally here. And now obviously we've got a new breed of Chinooks coming down the line as well, so that's all very good with those. Over to your work. Again, we like to showcase your build, so we've got a great one here from John, who's done the MAK Lum 168. Again, beautiful paint and weathering on this one. Very, very nice indeed, as you can see. Beautiful detail work in the cockpit, but it's just like the weathering generally around these things, and like the scrape marks, the scuffs, the chip-ins onto this. It's so light and subtle, but it's very effective. It looks purely like metal into these. Some nice dry brushing and weathering right the way through on this particular build. Very, very nice indeed. And there he is with the pilot, and with the actual glass on the front. As you can see, something uber cool about that. Very, very nice. But I love the way we were talking about not using whites and various things. To have the off-white, it just gives it that sort of weighted look to it. And there's a few of these other ones as well, so obviously taking pride of place in there. Beautiful work on that one. Very, very nice indeed. So again, you can go off and see more about that one as well, obviously on the forum. So well done, John, on there. Talking of figures and things like that, Brian, he's done the 1/10 Life Miniatures World War II Commando. Very nice. Again, beautiful texturing on obviously the uniform, but the face, the eyes, very nice as well. And then obviously with the helmet, with the mesh on top, definitely captures the character beautifully, very nicely. And again, even right the way down to the buckles, great details on this one. Again, bit of a masterclass there in figure painting, but again, it's just the buckles and the tiniest little details to it, how cleanly they are done. Looks absolutely fantastic. And obviously the patches and things, beautifully done. Very, very good. So well done to you on that one, Brian. That's gorgeous. Next up, we've got an old favourite of mine, the old Wessex. This is the Mark III, if I remember. Yes, Mark III. So it's the long nose just after Humphrey with the old engine system. Again, in the RAF yellow. Very, very nice indeed. And to be honest, that's not a straightforward build. It has a few little problems with it. Little hiccups. One of those kits where you need a bit of filler, a bit of time and a bit of patience, but it just shows exactly what you can do with it. Nailed that one. Very, very nice indeed. To see the old classic Humphrey. Very nice. Again, on the close-up, showing all the details. Great job on there. Next up, we got Simon. And again, this is, we were talking about this one on the Tuesday show about the Spey engined Phantoms having the bigger engine system into it. And again, this just shows you how you can take what is an old classic kit now, being the old Hasegawa F4 in 1/48 scale, and then actually turning it out something very, very nice with a few little aftermarket bits. So the FOD covers, the remove before flight tags, you know, you've got the cups over the tops of the seekers, things like that, really nice. Obviously the upgrade with the seats, beautifully done. We got the tender, and there it is from above, that gorgeous mottled worn down grey scheme with the striking, obviously with the shark's mouth, so it gets bonus points, but also with the red tail as well. It makes it absolutely stand out being a Firebird. Very, very nice indeed. Good job on that one. Love the backdrop as well with it. That's just so in keeping. Beautiful. We often talk about obviously displaying your model, and again, a simple, you know, printed backdrop to recreate that photo. Absolutely nailed it. I think you've done a fantastic job on that one. Beautiful kit. Well done. And next up, something a little bit smaller, 72nd, the little mouse. So again, really, this is the Vespid one. Tiny little detail, but again, the weathering on this is absolutely beautiful. That sort of primer colour coming through with the chipping into it and the worn and all the effects with it look absolutely fantastic. Again, beautiful little kit. Great work. I think it actually just works so well with that level of weathering onto it, and bearing in mind it's small. I know it's a huge tank, but it's still small in the great scheme of things. So again, definite good job on that, Terry. That's absolutely fantastic. Last up with us this week, we've got Aid, and obviously he's got the classic Tamiya Kampfpanzerwagen 2. Okay, so again, really nice in the sand. And we were talking about with the weathering of keeping it subtle so it's not bright and in your face. And again, desert conditions wear paint away and wear things down. So it wears the paint and you sort of wear through it. And he's done a great job of recreating and capturing that look with this one. Especially, again, we haven't got bright silvers coming through, which people get carried away. You've got that dark iron colour just hinting its way through the paintwork everywhere where it looks like it's worn through. The tracks especially very nicely done with the pigment down in the tracks, and then obviously the nice clean edges on them as they're being polished going through the sand and that. It really looks like it's just come off the desert. And again, a little bit closer up, you know, thinking ahead of where the wear areas, where they'd be and things like that. Again, just absolutely nailed it. But I love the worn down look to it. Nothing shining on that, as it wouldn't. So it would be really easy to get too much silvers into that and to make it sort of sparkle, but it has got that really nice worn down look to it. So really like that one on there. Some great work. So well done to everybody. Don't forget, we'll be showcasing some of our favourite builds that we've seen this week, every week on the Friday show as we make our way through. One thing to speak about, obviously, is going to be up at the end of the show is the actual group builds and SIGs. So the 60s one, the medal order has gone in. I spoke to Lee yesterday about it, and hopefully next week I'll be picking them up. Soon as I've got them in my grubby little mitts, I will put out the shout out for all your names and addresses. Please, please, please don't save them. I say it every single time, and I still get about 3 or 4 of you message saying, here's my name and address. As I said before, when you get hundreds of emails, they easily get buried, and then I don't go through them to find them all because it's that, you know, waterfall coming down on top. So it's easier to say now, and then I've got it all lined up for it. I'll get all your names and addresses, and we will get them sent off to you as they make them on. The reveal video for all of these is going to be end of the show. It's a 10-minute one because there's hundreds of entries into it that are all going to get a medal. So stay with us. It's going to be at the end of the show. It's going to be well worth it. So please stick around for that one. But congratulations to everybody who took part on that one. The actual group builds that are going on at the moment, as we spoke about before, we're sort of pushing through very nicely this year. So down in here, if I get to them, there we go. We've got the Anzac one, so you've still got another month on this one really to the end of August. So currently we've got 93 entries in there, we've got 41 finished, so good job on that one. And obviously down in here we've got the Alpha Africa one, which is going to take us to the end of the year. Currently we've got 92 entries into that, we've got 9 finished as well. Some great stuff coming through on that one that we looked at the other day as well. And then obviously we've got the Comrade Buller, obviously the Soviet SIG will be starting after the Anzac one as we make our way through. Okay, so say there's plenty of things on those ones, but again, just keep going with your builds. We're loving the builds. That's what it's all about, is getting the builds up there as we make our way through. Okay, so last up is just to have a look at what's going on with the PM store. Okay, they have had, like we said earlier in the show, loads of stuff in stock. Unfortunately, some of them have gone out. It's one of my favourite kits there. I can't believe we sold out. We'll see if we can get hold of some more. But that's the Hasegawa A7, Corsair 2. It's a great kit. But again, I've got the Draken. It's next to me down in here. Matt's sending me one of these Eurofighters because I intend to do that as a weekend build or a one-day build, because I've done the F-35 and it was a mega kit, which is this one over here. And it is beautiful kits. They go together really nicely. So I want to see how the Typhoon goes together. An old classic, again, that's the 72nd scale B-24J. So it's got the turret on the front. Beautiful markings on that one right the way through. And again, we've got some Sabres in. Unfortunately, all the 104s have sold out now. But again, the specials board is being added to all the time as we make our way through as well. So if you want to grab yourself some of that Hasegawa, you can do down in there. And then obviously we're on the new arrival section. We've got the bits that came in this week. So obviously the Phantoms are in stock now. We've got the Tamiya Nissan 240. That's in stock. Obviously, we've got a few more of the Arados come in. I know we went out of stock of one of them for a while, but we managed to get some more. And we have got still just a few, and literally is a few, of the actual Lancaster bombers left over as well. Okay, so if you want to grab yourself one of those, it's down in there. But don't forget, you get all usual bits and pieces from the PM store, as always, right the way through on all of those. And that was about it for this week. The only thing is to remind you is that we're going to be live again tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So if you want to join us tomorrow at 10 till 12, me and Matt, and I think a couple of the other guys are joining us as well. I know John's on with us. Andy will be there because he has to, because he works for us and everything else. But it's going to be heads down camera, discussing, and what we'll do, we'll carry on some of those questions that we didn't finish on last night's show. Okay, so some of the shout outs, some of those ones. So if you want to join in and watch us actually doing some building, I'm going to carry on with my Lightning kit, going through the motions on that one. And again, if you want to go ask any questions about what we're doing, what we're up to, that's the show to do it, because it's totally relaxed. We're going to be building heads down in the spray booths and building down in here. So if you want to join us for a relaxing Saturday morning over breakfast or something, then please feel free. Again, it will be recorded so you can watch it later on if you do want to do it that way. And that's it. So a really busy week. Next week's going to be slightly different because I have got the PM crew and obviously the Flory Models family are all coming down in here for the weekend, because we're all having a bit of a get together, the first time in 2 years that we've actually all been together. So we might bring you some special shows throughout that as well. Again, I'll do some backroom footage and all the rest of it with us and the guys, what we're up to over there. So again, Friday's show, there'll probably be a live one. Because we'll shoot it as live because we're all down here as well, and then so forth and so on throughout the weekend. And I know PM Store, obviously they'll be shut from Thursday to Tuesday because they're down in here as well. But we'll talk about more of that next week as we get a little bit closer to it. So, as always on a Friday, I'm going to leave you with your great work, but this is actually the final reveal video for the group build that just finished, which was obviously the Swinging 60s. Some amazing builds in there. You all did a fantastic job, so please hang around and see some of these because it is definitely worth it. So, till next week, everybody, happy modelling. Take care.